The almost $60 million ArriveCAN scam is just one of many pandemic-born scandals under the Justin Trudeau Liberal regime. And here at Rebel News, we oppose the lack of privacy and the enormous fines inflicted on Canadian travelers through the ArriveCAN surveillance app. Now we are fighting back against the contractors who made themselves rich, who lined their own pockets and helped the government spy on innocent Canadians, and the Liberals who let the contractors get paid for doing next to nothing with no oversight for the money being wasted. And we need your help to do it. Tamara Ugolini here with Rebel News to relaunch a campaign that we had previously undertaken at noarrivecan.com. See, the ArriveCAN application was originally launched by the Canadian Border Services Agency, that's the CBSA, at the end of April 2020 as a tool to track and gather the health information of Canadians during the alleged COVID-19 pandemic. But by the end of November 2020, the personal data soliciting app became a mandatory requirement for travelers entering this country, and it remained in place for nearly 2 years until October of 2022. Canadians not using the app to return to their own country were hammered with fines and forced into quarantine at subpar hotels where sexual assaults and other atrocities ensued. It was a mess. During that time, we launched this petition at noarrivecan.com to fight back against the constitutionally infringing seizure of personal information and forced quarantine orders of Canadians, where we have successfully crowdfunded the legal defense of those facing thousands of dollars worth of fines for not complying with this government-mandated tracking app. All of those donations went to the registered charity called the Democracy Fund, and their legal efforts continue to this day. While the privacy-infringing app was used to track and gather the COVID-19 vaccine status of Canadians, it's now under investigation for costing Canadian taxpayers an enormous $60 million, even though early estimates initially pegged the cost at roughly $80,000. And in light of this information, we are relaunching this campaign at noarrivecan.com to demand accountability of those involved with this scandalous squandering of taxpayer dollars and insisting that the money be repaid. As it turns out, the IT staffing firm called GC Strategies received the bulk of the funds, approximately $20 million of that estimated $60 million. The firm only has 2 employees, Darren Anthony and Christian Firth, who essentially just subcontract the work out to other agencies, but it's since been revealed that those subcontractors have never shown a dime of work done. This is the street view here of the address, 151 Bank Street in Ottawa, Ontario, of GC Strategies Inc. It looks pretty suspect. Conservative MP Michael Barrett said that this 2-person company has received $250,000 in government contracts since 2015 and calls for a full investigation into their fiscal operations after the government suspended contract relationships with the firm in November of 2023.
Solar Press has reported this morning shocking news that the 2-person firm, Justin Trudeau's favorite 2-person firm being used by the government for IT work that has done no actual IT work, has been paid a $250 million, $250 million in contracts from the government to this 2-person firm, while Canadians are lined up at food banks in record numbers, and Canadians are struggling just to feed themselves and keep the heat on. Today, Conservatives are going to be calling for the Auditor General to open an investigation into every contract, every penny that has been paid to GC Strategies, because it's beyond reason that a 2-person company operating out of a suburban basement could be doing $250 million in business with the federal government. And so today, that's why we're calling on the Auditor General to investigate every penny that has been paid to them.
All of this has further prompted opposition leader Pierre Poilievre to call for the RCMP to expand its criminal investigation into the Arrive scam and look at the wastage, abuse of power, and potential criminality of the Justin Trudeau government's insiders. Bookkeeping of the project was so poor that the Auditor General, Karen Hogan, was unable to determine the precise cost of the ArriveCAN app, she wrote in her report.
Pivoting, so how did the government go so wrong with the ArriveCAN app contracting and development, and do you take responsibility for those failures?
There continue to be ongoing investigations, both external and otherwise, into the contracting process. It is obvious that the contracting process rules were not followed in this case, and we need to make sure that there is accountability and transparency around that. But let us remember that during the pandemic, we were reaching out to try and keep people safe, keep people alive, make sure that our economy didn't falter at a time where everything was in question. Even in those most difficult times, we need to make sure the rules were followed. When public servants, in this case, did not follow the rules adequately, there are investigations and there will be consequences.
Yes, there's Justin Trudeau with his transparency lip service, while the Liberals block the use of committee subpoenas to compel testimony around this ArriveCAN scandal. And then this from the same government whose MPs, like Kevin Lemoro, are still using segregationist language, like being thankful that the unvaccinated were marginalized throughout the pandemic. So much for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And I just want to know, how much money did they spend on these studies to support this Arrive scam when they knew that they didn't have the science to even support it from day one?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Madam Speaker, the mega conservative far right is coming out. These are the anti, these are the ones that still deny the pandemic. And at the end of the day, thank goodness it was the Canadians and the majority of the people in the House saw the value of protecting the health and well-being of Canadians, and that the far right was marginalized back then, Madam Speaker, because as a direct result, more people are living today in Canada. As a direct result, a lot more people were healthier during that process.
The Canadian Border Services Agency is even said to be punishing whistleblowers Cameron McDonald and Antonio Utano for speaking out about this scandal. The Consumer Law Group has recently launched a class action lawsuit against the Attorney General of Canada. The suit claims that the AG negligently contracted, developed, and implemented the ArriveCAN application. It is alleged that this conduct resulted in at least 10,200 travelers being subjected to an unlawful quarantine upon arrival at a port of entry due to the glitches with the ArriveCAN app. Let's also remember that in 2022, a Toronto tech company called Tribal Scale said it would have cost the company less than $1 million and only taken a mere few days to build the ArriveCAN app, further proving how much the feds overpaid by tens of millions of dollars for this data collection exercise. Don't let the Liberals get away with yet another scandal. Go to noarrivecan.com, and there you can find out how you can help hold them to account. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. The scandalous conduct of this government and its squandering of taxpayer dollars must be reined in. If you agree, then sign our petition and support our work at noarrivecan.com. That's noarrivecan.com.